nicht betreten. Nochmal ein Hinweis an unsere Gäste, an die Zuschauer. Bitte nicht den Bahnkörper.
Again, leaving nothing on the table. Nice into 15. Oh, and very late.
Eine Minute bis zum Start, eine Minute bis zum Start des Spielfelds. 1 minute warning. Gestartet, Vorsicht, Abgewandt, Natural Break, Badezeit, Inward Break.
Race 2 of the IBSF four-man Bobsleigh World Cup, the final event in a week of sliding in Innsbruck in Austria, the double Olympic venue. Welcome back, everybody. Martin Haven, and delighted to have again with me Cynthia Appiah from Team Canada at this Innsbruck track. Reprofiled, but still as much of a challenge as ever to try and carry that precious start speed down to the bottom. And Cynthia, as we always expect here, we've got a massively tight fight for the medals.
Yeah, sitting in third place is Italy's Patrick Baumgartner. He is only 3/300ths out from gold medal, but he's got some really, really talented pilots behind him who are nipping at his heels. There's less than a tenth between him and 8th place, so it's going to be a dogfight to get in the medals, and we'll see how he can turn a fast start into an even faster downtime. In second place, you've got Germany's Adam Moore. He's that young gun that's coming through the team and has taken a 6th best start to a 2nd place finish. If he can clean up his first run and to have better second run, he will be one to watch. And then as we move into the gold medal position, no surprise here. Francesco Friedrich on towards his 10th win on this track alone. He's probably going to be angling for that start record that he's probably upset slipped away from him from Marcus Kreisel, but it's like watching a video game when you see Francesco Friedrich come down the track, and it's going to be his race to lose, which I don't think that's going to happen.
Doesn't tend to give many away, does he? That's one of his weak sides. He's not very generous with the medals for anybody else, other than his own crew. And you're right, looking at his 150th World Cup podium today and his 10th straight four-man win on this track. Fastest 20 sleds from the first heat go through into the second heat, so Jakob's calendar endured a slightly nervous half-hour wait to find out whether or not he was going through. There's Friedrich and the crew. On the left, Leo Leopold. Gert Leopold there, physical trainer for the German team. He's the man who has to come up with ways of making superhumans even more superhuman on an annual basis. And Johannes Lochner just out of the medals. But what you touched on, 3/10 back in second place, Adam Amor, 11 hundredths from Amor to 9th place, or 8th place rather, Chris Horn. So that's a massive, massive battle. Friedrich, though, is definitely head and shoulders above his rivals. So what happens? Well, the two of the second heat, the sleds go down in reverse order of their first heat performance. So 20th goes off first and the leader goes off last. And in Friedrich's case, almost certainly going to be claiming that gold medal at the bottom. However, it is ice, it is racing, nothing is a given. Jakob's calendar then will be first off. Romania's Mihai Tentea, Jakub Prochaska of the Czech Republic. Martin Krantz of Liechtenstein had a good run. And then we have a two-way tie for 16th place, Krantz and Timo Rona. And we have a three-way tie for 5th. Mickey Vogt, Marcus Kreisel and Cedric Follador. 100th ahead of them is Johannes Lochner, Patrick Baumgartner and Adam Amor, also in that tussle for the medals. Race 2, IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup in Innsbruck in Austria. Martin Haven and Cynthia Appiah watching with you trackside. Jakob's calendar and the crew for Latvia, 20th in the first heat. Get our second run underway.
Let's see if he's able to maintain that start that he created for himself. He had the 9th fastest start on the first run of the 5:05. Let's see if he can improve on that. 5:03 for his second run. Let's see if he can just maintain that. Having a 9th fastest start and then coming down in 20th, you're going to want to make sure that your second run is a really clean one.
Well, in the women's race this morning, we saw a number of athletes finding not hundreds, but tenths, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths in some cases in the second heat, just because they had a better feel for what the race day ice is.
Yeah, sometimes you can really find a different way to get down the track after you do your first run, and you can really process it. Okay, this is how I did it in training, but after this first run, maybe we do some tweaks and change things around certain corners, and you find yourself coming down 2-3 tenths faster than your first run.
Your runner's more highly polished. The ice is often faster on a race day. And his first heat was a 52.58. There you go, half a second better, 52.07, 5100. That's an awful lot of mistake avoidance, isn't it?
Honestly, like I said, when you're a pilot and you have a really bad first run, you're really gutted and you just want to come back and settle things and make things right. You know what you can do. You know the kind of pilot that you are. So you always come down almost with a firecracker underneath you, fire in your belly to really come down and have a way better run and go off into this next week off with a smile on your face.
Yeah, you don't want to leave with a worse run in your final run of the weekend, do you? That's a real downer. Yeah. Nothing a pizza and a glühwein can't solve, but you know, creatures of habit. So Jakob's calendar, that's a way better run. How much way better? 52.07 in the first heat would have seen him in 6th position, not 20th. That's how much way better. Okay, so that throws down a challenge for the next dozen sleds, easily.
Yes.
Mihai Tete of Romania, he's got to step up at least as much or lose places.
Yeah, what makes Innsbruck such a fun track is because of how tight the downtimes can be. If you have a blazing second run, you find yourself in the leader's walk for quite some time, as evidenced by my performance yesterday in the monobob. It gets chilly, but it's fun.
Yeah, I do. jackets. Ladies, give your teammate a jacket. I mean, come on. You know, lycra's lycra. It's fast, but it ain't warm. All right, 5:18 start, so a couple of hundred slower than their first. But he habitually outdrives his starts, Mihai.
He does, and we're already seeing that top velocity coming through. Hopefully he's able to maintain that. So far he's had really clean lines, and as he comes out of Kreisel, let's see if he can just maintain that really nice line, and he does. Still holding on to a 3/10 deficit though, and again, that's just a testament to Jakob's Kalenda's second run. It was just so good, and we're going to probably see him be in that leader's block for quite some time.
Yeah, Tentia bringing it. Oh, oh dear, oh dear. Almost barrel rolling down the Labyrinth.
Yes, and that's the tricky part of the four-man is with that excess weight that you have behind you, you do tend to be a little bit more top-heavy, and so the rollover chances are exponentially higher.
On behalf of Cynthia, I'm going to say she doesn't mean excess weight, gentlemen. She means more weight than in a two-seat sled because there are more bodies there, and they're all packed with muscle, and that's denser anyway.
I see what the men eat on our teams. I mean what I say.
Hang on a minute. I've been in the pizzeria in Innsbruck many, many years, and it's not just the guys who come in for pizza
to be
after
fair,
dinner.
our women do hold their fair share of the pizzas.
Listen, you're burning 6,000 calories a day. It's got to come from somewhere. All right, so the Romanians slip a spot. And again, I think we might be needing to get the Latvians some warm clothes. They could be hanging around in that leader's box for a while. Next up, Jakub Prochaska and the Czech crew, Lukas Petrikovic, David Buresh, and Pavel Jindra. So Petrikovic and Jindra new to the crew this season. David Buresh with a bit more experience. And Jakub Prochaska, former brakeman, and only his second World Cup drive.
And as you saw there, they're only going into this run with a 200th advantage over Kalenda. So it's going to come down to the start at this point to see if they can increase it. And you can see they are 300 slower off of this run than their first run, pushing a 5:17 versus a 5:14. And that increase or that advantage that they have is pretty much gone.
Well,
they're going to have to really drive it down to get it back.
Totally gone because Kalenda just slew them at the start. A 5:03 to a 5:17. So he's ahead the moment he sits down, Kalenda. So Prochaska has to drive out of his skin now.
Yeah, and he's starting to fall back even further. It's unfortunate because, you know, you really want to hold on to your lead, and that doesn't help either. Coming very hard double bug tap, as we like to say, and you're just going to continue to fall down, unfortunately, on downtime.
Yeah, skidding around a lot, doesn't have the control he needs. Rattling everything on the way down. First appearance this season of more hits than Elvis on that run. That was one that, yeah, escaped from training and became a race run, which he did not need. The good news is once you're in the top 20, you can't drop out of the 20 because nobody outside the top 20 gets another run to beat you. So, all right, 18th or 20th, you prefer to go forward, but sometimes...
You see him coming very high around, and at the very last minute does the steer to get himself off the corner, but it's almost a little too late, and you see that skid and then a hit and then another skid going nose away, as we say, going into corner 10, and you just bled all your speed. And then back to your point about not falling out of the top 20, still being in the top 20 is an achievement, and in an Olympic year where you're battling other nations to get as many quota spots as possible, every time you get a second run is more points in your pocket.
Every point counts, really does. And for small teams like Liechtenstein, you're not trying to qualify multiple sleds, you're trying to make sure that you are in the allocation. Martin Krantz, Lawrence Len here, Tim Kessler and David Schofen. It's only the second year in the World Cup for this crew, and they're starting to gel really well.
Very nice load. They push a 5:21, which is 100th faster than their first push. They're already a little bit back on the start, but again, that deficit loss is just straightly on their start. Let's see if they can correct some of the mistakes they made on that first run and come down faster than Kalenda.
Well, Krantz does not start, or the team don't start that great yet. 28th at the start, 16th fastest run down the track, though. So comprehensively outdriving their push. 2400s, he's narrowing the margin, but he's got about 500 meters of ice left, and that's it.
Yeah. A little bit of a skid coming through that straightaway into corner 9 or corner 10, but he's still reeling it back in. I don't think there's enough track for him to really overtake Kalenda, even with that top speed. He does fall back one spot.
Yeah, 52.33, Canada 52.07. So Martin Krantz of Liechtenstein slips 1. And again, I think he's not going to be the only one that gets overhauled by the Latvians. They're happy with that. They were happy with their first run. And they'll find out from their coach they actually pushed quicker in the second. That's Martin Krantz's dad on the right-hand side in the beanie. It is a tiny family nation team, this. Liechtenstein, obviously not the biggest nation on the planet.
Yes, in terms of small nations, literally and figuratively, Liechtenstein fits that bill to a T. But that's what you love about this sport, is that you find nations from like different corners of the world that take a liking to the sport and really expand where the sport can really grow. And I think this athlete's going to be one to watch in the next quad for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Really smooth pair of hands as a driver. And still just 23. Better. Happy with that. Top left in the yellow, Rudi Lochner, Olympic medalist for Germany in La Plagne in the Albertville Games, 92. Timo Röhner now for Switzerland. Luca Rolli, Tim Annan, and Enrico Guntert. Guntert, the new boy in the squad, made his 2- and 4-man debut last weekend in Cortina. And Tim Annan's sister, Deborah, his older sister, sliding in the women's field yesterday and today, and not a great load. Tim Annan slipped getting in.
They pushed the same time as their first heat. There was a bit of a messy load getting into the sled. Hopefully that doesn't affect them too much. They did come down with the second fastest velocity out of the grooves, but Timo, much like every Swiss pilot that's out there, very great drivers. I don't doubt that he'll find a way to claw back some of that deficit that he's created for himself.
And 2 second generations, because Marcel Röhner, Timo's dad, was a standout for Swiss sliding, and so was Martin Annan, Tim's dad.
Nothing too bad, a little bit of a skid, but he does correct midway through that straightaway as he's coming down now to the lower Labyrinth. He is falling back, unfortunately, so that messy load may have had more harm than good. Hard hits coming into the finish line. Not
having a comfortable ride below the Kreisel, really, was he? Yeah, that was pretty untidy. 52.41, and those happen, and particularly in that lower Labyrinth. We talk about it all the time. If you're late into one corner, you're late into all of them.
Yes, it's really a skill set that takes a while to learn, to be able to fix it and get back online for the next corner so it doesn't snowball ahead of you.
Yeah. Now, watch what happens. Tim Annan at 3. Does he slip? Yeah, his foot. He
got caught out.
Quite get his foot in.
Yeah, and then he almost slips on his hand there as well.
Yikes. All right, not the greatest load. I mean, when it goes wrong, you realise just how hard it is to get 4 men over speed downhill on sheet ice through the tiny opening on the top of the sled, which is barely waist width, never mind shoulder width. Now then, Pat Norton for Canada, the only one of the Canadian drivers to make it through. Lucas Stoikos at 2, new to the sled, as is Chris Holmstead, making his debut on the back handles.
Really nice load by the Canadians. 5:16, again, same time as the first run, but we'll see how Pat can drive this track down. He's got a liking, he's taken a liking to this track, and I think, we'll be surprised to see what his downtime will be.
Well, again, Jacob's calendar out of position down in 20th place by really quite a long way, so perhaps not a surprise to see some of the other drivers not able to match his pace, but only 1300s in it at the Kreisel.
Falling a little bit back. Unfortunately, I think it may be due to that start deficit. A little bit of a skid, a little bit of a tap. We're seeing a lot of that from these 4-man sleds. They are a little bit harder to corral, even with that extra weight that you've got for yourself.
He's dropping behind Martin Krantz of Liechtenstein, in danger of dropping behind Mihai Tentea, and Timo Röhner slips 4 spots down to 5th.
Yeah, definitely not the run he was looking for. But, you know what, Pat can hang his head on the fact that he did get a second run. That was a challenge last week, and again, in a race with many nations to try and qualify as many quota spots, this is so important. He's gained so many important points with this race.
Yeah.
Again, you see a lot of spray, a lot of turning of the runners to try and course correct and get back online. It doesn't do much, though, as he does skid as he goes into corner 10, which probably sent him late into corner 11, which is what we're seeing here now. And then that did snowball a little bit. He actually does have a nice line coming off of 12 going into 13, but at that point, the damage had been done.
Yeah, you've got to cut a lot of ice to get that control back.
I see Sandro Michel in the audience there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's been with the Swiss team in the build-up to the season. That's really good news. Dave Wesselink, Janko and Jelen Francic, and Tim Acosta for the Netherlands. And Francic in his first real full World Cup season as we head into the games. 10th they start. They started 5:06, just 100 slower than the Latvians.
Oh no, there's a slip. Okay, he's able to correct and get back in. That is a skill set right there. Your adrenaline is running, and there's nothing more frightening than knowing that you might not get in that sled.
Yeah. Well, and dispiriting as well to see it leave behind you. It does happen very occasionally.
Yes, and we're seeing the aftermath of that with the velocity and the speed really down.
And the problem is because the brakemen are now having to pull on the sled to get themselves in, and as they pull themselves to the sled, they're literally pulling the sled or taking energy out of the sled, so you're slowing it down.
You're slowing it down, then you're not applying enough force to maintain the speed that's already going with the sled. Yeah.
Well, a near disaster avoided. At least they all got in. 4th at the line, 3rd at the line. So the 5th fastest run, but they're 3rd, so they only lose 2 spots. And considering how close to disaster it was, that's an impressive recovery. Now, I'm not sure if Dave Wesselink knew much about what was going on. He was in, he was down, he was focusing. Janko and Jelen, though,
yeah.
Boy, they did well to get in. That's what upper body strength does.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's Jelen, I think, at 3 on the left-hand side of your picture who slips. No, it wasn't. It's Janko at 2. Mamma mia. That's Ivo de Brown, yeah. They got in.
That's frustrating.
Yeah. And he lost a couple of places, but actually, that was the least worst outcome there. Now, it looks as though Janko might have actually tweaked a muscle or a rib or something there. Hopefully not. At least they've got a week off. Well, some of a week off anyway before racing. Now, Sun Kai-chi of China, 13th after the first heat. It is still Jakob's Calendar of Latvia, our leader. And these guys started 5th fastest in the field, but an untidy run saw them only 13th by the end of it.
A 5:06 start. A little slower than their first run. 4th fastest velocity as they come through corner 2. And a tap on that left wall. Not ideal as you're trying to maintain your spot, knowing that Calenda has basically taken a couple of names down with him as he's in that finish box, or that winner's box.
I mean, right now, Calendar definitely has the potential to be top 10 from 20th in the first heat.
Yes. A lot of people have been falling down by 2/10, 3/10. I'm hoping Sun is able to reel it back in. He's got a 10th in the bank right now as he goes through corner 10.
All right, 500s. It's going in the wrong direction. He can't stop bleeding time. Takes a single hit in 13-14 at the line. He's 200s ahead. All right. So Mats Miknes there on the left. Jakob's Calendar top right. Leave the leader's box. Now, the fact that they're no longer in the lead doesn't mean they're not going to continue to climb up, or they won't continue to climb up. They're only 200s behind Sun Kai-chi. So effectively, the chances of splitting that gap are, I mean, realistically, not very high, even in Innsbruck. So they may still end up top 10.
Very much so. It's going to be up to the next few pilots to make sure that it's a convincing lead that they have over Sun. If they fall even just a couple hundreds back, you know, it's a 3rd place position for them.
Well, Sun was 13th after the first heat. There he is, watching the replay. And just ahead of him, tied for 11th, Roman Heinrich of France, with the whopping advantage of 2 whole hundredths of a second. Niels Blairon, new to the team. Antoine Rieu transfers from Monaco. And Dorian Otterville has been around as long as Roma. So 5:04, 6th best start in the competition. This is a crew that had not pushed together before Cortina.
5:05 start, so 100 slower. It does give them an increase on that deficit that they had, though. They are up by 300s.
That's a 50% addition to the lead. Another 100th.
And now it seems that it has gone away, but there's still a lot of track left for him to find some time and speed. And Romain is a great pilot. There's no doubt in my mind he'll find that.
Yeah, works for an engineering company close to La Plan, and is very intent on trying to develop their sleds as much as possible. Gaps out to 700s, though.
And a skid and a hit coming into corner 10. It's going to be really hard to find that time now.
And don't forget the top two separated by just 200s, so if you don't beat them both, you're going to slip 2 spots. Good speed at the bottom, but not enough ice to use it. A 10th back, 52.41. So he slips to 3rd spot with 10 to go. So Roman Heinrich's previous best here, a 9th place finish. And that was back in January 2021, his first World Cup race here. And 9th place a couple of seasons ago, before he retired.
It looks like he may have flattened his line coming around corner 9, which may have been the reason why we see a little bit of this action coming out of that corner, the hit and the spray. The science and the art behind bobsleigh driving is you want to create as little friction as possible while letting the sled fly. And sometimes if you do a little too much, it sets you up worse off.
So we have a Chinese leader. We will have a Chinese leader after this sled as well, because Sun Kai-chi is in the leader's box. His teammate Li Chunjian is next up. And the margin between the two of them, fully 200ths of a second, because they were tied with Roman Heinrich. So just 200ths advantage. And of course, as we talk about between teammates, although you are colleagues and teammates, you are also rivals. You can't win if you don't beat your teammate, right?
5:12 start. He's already back in the red. And that's what makes bobsleigh such an interesting sport, is we're all one big team, but you're also competing against your own teammate. It creates an interesting dynamic when you want to cheer and support your team because overall your nation does well, but you want to be the one that's getting the accolades.
Yeah, it's definitely yay team until they're ahead of you, in which case, whoa there. All right, so Lee just a little flat coming off the Kreisel, slipping away.
Interesting line, very high and peaky as he's coming through corner 9, but manages to save it well and comes straight into 10.
Yeah, big height in 10 as well. Is that going to give him much speed? Doesn't seem so. Takes the single tap in 14, not the worst we've seen. Across the line, 2500s back though, 52.56. Now, as we get towards the top 10 sleds, we're going to see if anybody can improve on a 52.07 of Jakob's calendar. Since he came down, the next fastest run has been a 52.3. That was 52.29 from Sun Kai-chi, our current leader.
As we see him come through corners 8 into 9, you can just see he let the sled fly just a little too high before trying to turn it down and then having to really steer it off and hope for the best that it comes down straight. And, you know, it lucked out for him, but it makes you wonder how much did he lose by doing it that way.
Well, you've got to try these things, and this is the time to do it. Yes, it's the pre-Olympic season. Yes, it's a World Cup race, but you don't learn by doing the same thing. Sun Kai-chi leads from Jakob's calendar and Roman Heinrich. 10 down, 10 to go. And it's like all sport, whether you're on the foothills or whether you are in the Olympic Games, in qualifying heats or whatever, you will always try something to be better than you were yesterday. And that's what sport is. That's 100%. What life is.
And it's, you know, I always go back to something that my coach Lyndon Rush says. treat every training run like a race run and every race run like a training run. You're using every opportunity that you're behind the sled, whether it's behind the D-rings or behind the push bar, to get better, to learn, so that when it's time to be at World Championships or at the Olympic Games, you know you've done everything possible to be at your very best.
Yeah. And somehow that ability to not avoid, but not be affected by pressure of a big occasion, like a race day, like World Championships, like Olympic Games, that's another whole skill set, isn't it?
Yes. When you get to the World Cup level, by and large, everyone is a great driver. You know, you get a couple of gremlins that sneak out every once in a while, but everyone can get down the track. And it's a matter of how do you separate yourself from the next competitor. And a lot of the time, it is that mental fortitude that some people are able to learn right off the bat, and some people take a long time to learn. And that, according to Justin Cripps, another great coach of mine, is what separates the good from the champions.
Yeah. That ability to maintain your focus and not overdo it when the changing room is emptied around you and you're one of the last to go out. That's pressure time. It's easy to chase, easier to chase.
Yes.
Very hard to lead. And we saw that just a week ago with Mel Hasler leading the first heat of the monobob and just tense and overdoing it and drop down out of the medals. So 10 down, 10 to go here in Innsbruck. Great Britain's Brad Hall, the most successful non-German four-man driver in this World Cup field. 10th after the first heat. He's a multiple medalist here, 4 silvers on this track alone in Innsbruck. Brad's got Ollie Butterworth, Leon Greenwood, Greg Cackett behind him. I'm Martin Haven. I've got Cynthia up here beside me.
5:12, 100 slower than his first push, but staying in the green is going to be the next task for Brad. This isn't his usual four-man crew. Taylor Lawrence is a little bit under the weather, from my understanding, so he's out for the week. Hopefully we'll see him back in Lillehammer. But Brad is a great driver, and it's really great to see him continue to have the success that he's had over the years. He's probably upset with the start of the season as it's gone so far, but as a true champion and a challenger and a competitor, he's going to want more every week.
This is a tidier looking run than anything we've seen him do in the two-man or the four-man this weekend. 2200s up. Now he's really accelerating away from Sung Kai Chi. That is a big run, 5209. That is the second fastest run we've seen. Still, Jacobs Calendar, 5207, is the quickest. Well, lots of the British Bobsleigh and Skeleton Association board members are here this weekend because Innsbruck is so easy to get to, so close. And it's kind of the second British home of ice sliding, really.
Yeah, usually you see a huge British contingent at this Innsbruck race. I spoke to Greg last night. It sounds like a lot of their loved ones will be coming out to the Lillehammer race, but you do see a lot of that Great Britain support during this Innsbruck weekend.
Little skid out of the Kreisel down into turn 8. Nice and clean. This is 13-14. You can see he's cutting ice to steer away from the hit, but that worked. He carried speed, yeah.
A shout out to Arya, as I was told by Greg, for Leon, his little daughter.
All right, if we're doing shout outs, I'll get one in a minute. Next up, Kim Jin-soo of Korea. Boy, has this young man exploded onto the scene with a bang, with a 4th place in the two-man and Korea's first four-man World Cup medal last weekend in Cortina. Another top 6 finish yesterday, 499.
Great improvement off his first push, which was a 501 in the first run. Top velocity as he's coming through. He had a little bit of a squirrely entry into corner 1. You definitely don't want to get any height on that corner, but he's up by 2,700, so clearly it didn't affect him at all.
1300s quicker than Brad Hall at the start. 300s up from the first hit. Huge skid into the Kreisel.
He's managing it well, but hopefully it doesn't bleed too much time. He has lost 400s, and that could be a testament to that skid.
Yeah, it's gonna take time to pay out as well. That gap will continue to shrink. There you go, 1400s. He's not going to have much lead left by the line, and a big welt on the wall.
Interesting.
Is he in front at the line? He is by 300s. It's the same time on the run as Brad Hall, so his first heat is what keeps him in front by 300s.
Really messy bottom down during the second half of this run. He's really on track to having a very, very good second run up until about Kreisel as he was skidding into that corner. But this team is going to be one to watch. They're pushing fast. The driver's going to get just even better as he continues to get more experience on the World Cup circuit. Yeah, Kim is a very, very fun pilot to watch.
Yeah, it really is, isn't he? It's only his 10th race as a driver. He did 27 races, nearly 5 seasons as a brakeman for Yun Jong-won in the run-up to the 22 games, and started driving since then. So there he is. He's just living life in a dream at the moment. Now then, Chris Horn made the cut for Team USA, whereas it was a disaster for his 2 teammates. Carsten Vistring, Hunter Powell, Caleb Furnell. It's a new young crew. Carsten Vistring's been around for a couple of seasons, but Chris Horn is a real beast on the front handles and drives the sled nicely. 8th place after the first heat, and this is where the battle for the medals might just start.
5:02. Whoa. Improving on his first run start of 5:04. And like I said, he's a developing pilot, but when you're fast and you can just make it down a track, the world is your oyster at that point. The future's so bright for you.
Well, he had 1200s over the Koreans from the first heat. Only 200s remain, and that has now gone. So Kim Jin-soo's run, it was untidy into the Kreisel. That's where we might see this red come back into the green for Chris Horn. If he can be tidy at the bottom, that's a good 9-10.
May have brushed the roof there in corner 10, which may eat up a little bit of his time as he's trying to crawl it back, and you can see it.
Sneaks through, 13, 14, close at the line, not close enough. Oh, the Koreans move up a spot. So they were 23 hundredths out of silver, 2/10 out of bronze, the Koreans. 5:02 start, you got beaten by 100th. Tuffy Latour, the coach, with all the good news there.
You see Chris come off of Kreisel here, and he gets hooked up on the end, which creates a little bit of a slap down effect for him. Not how you want to come off of Kreisel. It does create a little bit of a skid as he goes into corner 10, and then that's a hard take on, which just eats up his velocity.
All right, Chris Horn in 2nd place, though. Top 10 result guaranteed. Lots of fans watching right above the finish line. And a bit of hop sweep as well for Mickey Vogt, Dominic Hufschmidt, Andy Haas, and Amadou Ndiaye. So these guys started 12th fastest, 5:08, came down 5th quickest. Now, they won't have been happy with the 5:08.
They get down with another 5:08 start. Again, Michael Vogt, very great driver. He can outdrive that start and get them down even faster. They did have a little bit of a wiggle coming through corner 2. We're seeing that now reflected with them coming down by 2 100ths.
Good speed, though, from the Swiss sled. Ooh, a little skid down into the Kreisel, though. He's not going to be in the green on the exit.
Oh, he seems to be bringing it back. He's only 100th behind. A little tap and a skid, and he's back in the green.
I was going to say he can't afford any more errors. 200s up. A little bit better speed maybe than the Korean sled, but rocking and rolling through the Labyrinth. It's going to be tight at the line. 600s in it. Just keeps his nose in front.
Yeah, sometimes when you set up your sleds just right for the track that you're on, your runners are prepared, the little bumps and taps aren't as costly as they should be.
Jacob's calendar, 52:07, is still the fastest run of the heat. And we're now into this 3-way tie for 5th place.
Yeah, a little uncharacteristic of Michael Vogt coming out and skidding towards that left wall and brushing it as he goes in through Kreisel. He's able to get it back online, but that's, again, a testament to his driving skill. Really nice exit. Does take a little bit of a tap in his skid, though. But, you know, sometimes the ugliest runs are the fastest runs.
Not often here, though. Okay, let's see what we've got. This three-way tie for fifth place. Mickey Vogt, Markus Treichel of Austria, and Cedric Follodor of Switzerland. And there was a late change before the start. Leo Sarez in for Christian Huber on the back. Sarez, new to the squad this year. He's one of Austria's top 100-meter runners.
They're going to be challenging for that start record.
Yeah, 4:95 their start. They were 200ths off the all-time start record. 4:96. That's another great getaway.
Very great push. Again, hometown favorite with Markus Treichel. He's going to want to clean up from that first run, especially with such a blistering start that he's created for himself with his crew. Let's see how fast he can get down.
600ths out of the medals from the first heat. I mean, that's literally less than the blink of an eye.
Oh, a little bit of a rattle on that driver's right side as he comes out of Kreisel. Seems to be nice and straight, though, coming out of corner 9 as he goes through corner 10 into the lower Labyrinth.
Was 2200ths up, only a 10th remains. It's going to be in single digits at the line. The speed's not great. Is he in front or behind? 300ths in front. Ooh, there's Mickey Vogt top left. So the Austrians lead, and there are still 5 to go. This is the battle for the medals. I know it's a three-way squabble for 5th, but the gaps are so tiny to 2nd. They're really happy with that, aren't they? So, best ever result on this track for Markus Treichel in a 4-man has been 5th. If he holds his lead or ties with Cedric Follodor, it will equal his personal best at home in Austria. And after the crushing disappointment of last year, where he blew his knee out, blew his meniscus, Franz Josef Hoffmann, the former coach, going, whoa, no, don't do that. Yep. Well, Treichel, proper racer's haircut Marcus has had, and lots of hometown support for him as well.
There's no greater feeling than having a home race and doing well.
Yeah. All right. Treichel leads, 5 to go. Cedric Follodor, Nicola Mariani, Omar Fergler, and Dominic Schlepfer. They started 5:14, 17th their start. Came down tied with Treichel and Vogt. Follodor had a really good first run.
They matched their first time start of 5:14. They are back in the red, but as you said, they had the 17th fastest start and came down in 5th place. So he knows how to drive. He knows how to drive this Innsbruck track and get down fast.
He started 1900 slower than Marcus Sammer and matched him at the line. I mean, that's an impressive drive. The question is, can he do it again? 1800s back, 3700s back. The answer is no, he can't.
Yeah, he's just too far back with not enough track left to really rein it in.
First and second are just 300ths apart. So he's either going to be the leader or third at best, probably. 900ths to 4th, a 10th to 5th. Sixth place is just 1200ths off the lead, and he sneaks in front of 6th place. He is 5th ahead of Brad Hall. But Cedric Follodor slips 4 spots.
A relatively nice run, but I think everyone's really been stepping up their game this second run, and that 5:14 really did hurt them this run.
Yeah. Well, he had such a brilliant run in the first heat. Getting another one where he's driving out of his skin to perfection is not easy.
Yeah, you see a little bit of that back runner lift up and everyone in the sled kind of flop. And that's just showing you how much work that Cedric had to do to get off of corner 5.
And again, out of 9, steering hard on the exit. And that's a sign that you were on late and off late. The timing just wasn't quite right. So it is still Austria's Markus Treichel who leads. 4 to go. and Kreisel was only 900ths out of silver. Can the Austrian take his first World Cup medal at home? Johannes Lochner is the first of 4 who's in his way. Only 200ths quicker than Kreisel, and they lost 700ths to the Austrians at the start, and they do again.
Another 5:02 start. Excellent push by Lochner and his boys. They are a little bit back in the red, but we know Lochner. He can find those jets and come back.
Well, now then, 10th back. So that's that faster start of the Austrians. Can he bring it back? Exit of Kreisel is going to be critical. It was clean enough. He's level with Markus Kreisel. Don't forget, this is not yet for a medal. Hansi was only 4th. He's in the green and he's driving away quick from Markus Kreisel. This is a better second heat from Johannes Lochner. Is he going to be the first under 52? He is, 51.92. So 0.08 of a second quicker than his first heat. And that would have left him second in the first run. Only one sled has come down quicker today, and that is our first heat leader, Francesco Friedrich. So Torsten Marg is there at 2. His 100th World Cup start in 4-man may yet end up as a podium result.
Really good second run by Lochner here. He's able to sneak by this left tap that you get out of corner 13 with just a little bit of a skid, not as much of a skid as we've seen with other sleds, and he's able to get that sled back online and minimize the impact of that hit.
Almost clean once he just snagged the back bunk as they went past that change in the wall, 13 to 14. So Hansi on the left there is our leader. All right, 3 to go. Lochner, Kreisel, Vogt are the top 3 right now. This could be a huge moment for Patrick Baumgartner of Italy. In 2016 on this track, he was the Youth Olympic champion in boys bobsled, the first ever. Now, can he take his first 4-man World Cup medal here in Austria? 5:07 getaway, a whisker off their 5:06 in the first heat.
There's going to be a big challenge in front of Patrick, knowing that Johannes Lochner just went ahead of you and threw down a very, very fast downtime. You know, nerves are going to be about him, but I think he's got what it takes to really come down fast on this track. 5th
here in January. He's been a silver medalist. That was in Beijing in the 4-man. Can he take one in Italy, in Austria? 800s back.
A little bit of a skid coming off of Kreisel. Still, another skid coming down through 9 into 10.
Awkward drift. I think that's enough. It is. Lochner is going to be in the medals, and Baumgartner may not be second. At the line, he is in second place, 52.15, but a medal potentially slips away from him here. Thumbs up from Manny Mahata. It is still his best ever race in a 4-man in Innsbruck. 4th place finish. He was 5th in January. Frustratingly close, Cynthia. Frustratingly close.
Yeah, you're going to always want to improve on your first push, and when you're even 100th of a second behind on a track this short, you know, bobsleigh math kicks in fully. That 100th goes into 300ths, and when you're up against the Germans, it's even more so that.
All right, Lochner leads. Are we going to get a yellow sweep? There's Hansi top right, bottom right. Torsten Margis at the top on the left, Georg Fleischer and Jörn Wenzel on the podium with them. So they're in the medals. What about Adam Amor, Joshua Tasche and his lucky egg, Benedikt Hertel and Rupert Schenk? Cool Runnings has got a lot to answer for, doesn't it? in all the good ways. 5:04 start. They came down 3/10 off the lead, 700ths advantage over Lochner. This needs to be absolutely top draw. 5:02, they get another couple of hundreds on the lead in the start.
Really clean load again from the German team here. And again, improving 200ths on your start on this track is going to pay in dividends.
So they started 5:02, Lochner started 5:02. 700s up from the first heat. He's got to defend that lead.
As he comes through Kreisel, he's still maintaining that top speed. Nice exit out of Kreisel. A little bit of a skid going into corner 8.
Like Lochner, little skid. 9 to 10, not quite as clean either. He's dropping into the red. 900s back. Lochner's going to be the leader with 1 to go. Is Adam Amor going to take a medal? Baumgartner's 1900s back. Amor's out of the medals potentially. Baumgartner will take a medal here.
Oh, this is so exciting for the Italian team.
100th of a second.
That's what makes this sport so interesting. You know, it's not over till it's over, and like even something that seems like a for sure bet can always, you know, I don't want to say fall apart, but sometimes, you know, little magic can happen.
Hansi over there to congratulate them. There's Adam. Looks like he's slipping out of the medals here, unless there's a catastrophic disaster for our last sled. And 2 skids, really, Cynthia. That's it, you know, tiny other little bits, but those 2 skids.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how much he lost in these last 2 corners, where most people might have lost a couple hundredths. Amor lost more than that, and that's the difference between him on the podium and not now.
All right. The horn for Francesco Friedrich, with new boy Tim Becker joining the crew, Alex Schuller and Felix Straub on the back. Your 4-man world champion, your 4-man Olympic champion, your 4-man World Cup champion, looking for his 10th consecutive win on this track, his 150th World Cup podium. 4:98, they go quicker than their previous best. The start record has eluded them. They are still the 2nd quickest in the heat, and he had such a big advantage. And he's building on it already. He's
building on it. Even with a little bit of a bobble coming through corner 2, he's got the top speed. He's always the one to chase. On the odd occasion, if Lochner is on his A game, he's the only other one that can really step up to Friedrich.
Oh, Friedrich is such a stunning driver. So motivated still after all these years. And just brings the speed. Okay, the gap's coming down a little to Lochner. The bottom of the track is not as tidy as it was in the first heat. Really hauls it around 14, but it's the win nonetheless. 52.01. Gold for Francesco Friedrich. His 10th straight 4-man win in Innsbruck. His most successful track of them all. And that is World Cup podium number 150.
Major congratulations to Team Friedrich and to Lochner, and a huge wind in the sails for Team Baumgartner as well. He's definitely going to go into this week off with an extra pep in his step.
Yeah. So Francesco Friedrich claims the gold, and on this track particularly, you just saw Torsten Margis going over to offer his congratulations as well. He's been part of the Rainbow Beanie crew for so many years. Benny Hertel with his back to us as well from Adam Amor's team. You know, they recognise the dedication to performance in their teammates. They all have it, all of these crews. But Friedrich is special gravy, isn't he? We've been witnessing a real period in this sport for the ages. Will we ever see the like of Francesco Friedrich sliding again? Maybe. Maybe not. Eugenio Monti was for so many years the benchmark of great ice sliding, and Francesco Friedrich has assumed that mantle. It is victory for Team Friedrich, a 10th straight here in Innsbruck in 4-man. So they missed out on the gold yesterday. Johannes Lochner taking the 2-man win for the 3rd straight year. But 4-man day is Friedrich's gold. Lochner's silver and bronze for Patrick Baumgartner, his 2nd 4-man World Cup medal of his career. Adam Amor, Marcus Treichel and Mickey Vogt, the top 6 ahead of Kim Jin-soo. Chris Horn, what a race for the American. Seti Follador and Brad Hall rounding out the top 10. And again, just 100th, 100th, 100th. Then 3/10 back out of the 10. Sun Kai-chi, Jacob's calendar from 20th to 12th. What a second he had. He was the fastest man down in the entire race until Friedrich had his run. And that is the remainder of the top 20. Well, there you go. Lots of exciting racing here in Innsbruck and a World Cup commentary debut as well. Cynthia Peer, you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
It's good to see it, isn't it, from the warmth of the commentary booth, the overheat of the commentary booth this weekend. So, with a win apiece, Lochner and Friedrich are tied at the top of the World Cup standings. Adam Amor tied with Marcus Treichel, a few points ahead of Kim Jin-soo, as up to 6 with a bullet. Patrick Baumgartner, Mickey Vogt and Brad Hall tied together on points in 8th position. And so, although they head now to Lillehammer, and they will have a training week next week, as will you all, it'll be race week in 2 weeks' time. Who's going to be on top of the pile there? Well, don't count against some yellow jackets on the podium. They tend to have a habit of being in the lead group. That's it then for Innsbruck. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Friday for skeleton, Saturday and Sunday for bobsleigh. Thanks to Cynthia Peer, thanks to everybody here at the Olympia Worlds, the Igls track, and to the IBSF TV crew. Thanks to you for joining us. I'm Martin Haven saying we'll see you in 2 weeks' time in Lillehammer. Goodbye for now.
In 2 Tage.
Yes! Jawohl!